Welcome everyone to Life Beyond 6 Feet. I'm Damien from RKB Paranormal, and this week I'm very excited about our guest. I have the crew of Creep Street Productions. Guys and gals, welcome to Life Beyond 6 Feet.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been pretty excited to get you guys on. I've been talking to Chris for a while about like in this setup, so I'm gonna kind of let you guys kind of introduce yourself and kind of what your position is on Creep Street. So go ahead, Chris.
Hi, my name is Chris Marie. I am from Midlothian, Texas, and I am the founder of Creep Street Productions. I'm also a paranormal investigator as well. I have been on many investigations, and my passion for this project was more behind the scenes, but man, I still loved getting to see the action. And then I have with me today my amazing creative crew of JJ Brent and Alexander Cruz.
Hello.
Hi there, I'm JJ.
And I'm Alexander.
So,
And I'm producer, and this is
actually, for our first production here, I'm actually
Yeah.
one of the directors
Yes.
and the editor and cinematographer on the project as well.
All right, all right. So we're going to get into Creep Street here in just a minute, but I want to kind of talk to Chris for a minute, kind of about her background as a paranormal investigator and kind of how you got into this whole thing. So how did you kind of start investigating?
I have been extremely curious about anything paranormal pretty much my entire life. I loved haunted movies growing up, although nothing scared me. And I think it was probably in my late 20s or early 30s that I guess it was right around the time Ghost Hunters was kind of hitting I think it was kind of hitting its high mark for the first
Right.
time. And a guy that I was dating who lived in South Texas said, "Oh, you should check out the show." And I watched it and I was like, well, it's really good, but I've never actually done an investigation.
Mhm.
And since that time, it had always been my goal to get involved with it, meet someone and try and get them to mentor me in a way. I ended up leaving Texas, where I was born and raised, moved to Nashville. A year later, I met Regina, Jesse, and Rhonda of PPF Investigations, who not only invited me to be part of their team, but they also welcomed me into their lives and taught me absolutely everything that I know about the paranormal. And from there, it's just kind of been the last 8 years have been for me just a love of learning more.
Right. And I find it funny. A lot of people I've talked to, they say Ghost Hunters was kind of what introduced them into investigating. They've always were always into it, but they didn't really start doing it until that show came out. So in a
Right.
way that television show is the reason a lot of us are here right now. So
Right.
um so said you've always had an interest. So what's like some personal experiences you had kind of that kind of led you into like, hey, I kind of want to do that.
Well, I think growing up, I am a little bit of an intuitive. I don't talk about it. Well, I really didn't talk about it for a long time because it's sort of frowned upon in my family. Nowadays, they're a little more open to stuff like this. My mom is a little like, "Ugh,"
Right.
but the rest of the family is actually more curious. And so I kind of started noticing that sometimes I would just know things. And then sometimes I would feel maybe like I wasn't alone, but I never really understood it. I just thought, oh, I'm weird. As I got older and people started talking more about, you hear ghost stories or you hear people talking about paranormal experiences that they've had in the past, it just sort of piqued my curiosity. Um, the biggest one for me was at the Myrtles Plantation.
Hmm.
The same guy that had introduced me to the TV show Ghost Hunters, he was down in South Texas, and we had the room reserved for a night. We just wanted to kind of check it out for ourselves.
Right.
And long story short, he wasn't able to make it due to Hurricane Ike that came
Oh.
through, and I went by myself, which I don't regret at all. Crazy. I
Right.
didn't know what I was doing. But I did have a very wonderful experience and got some great photos. Unfortunately, I do not have access to the photos anymore, but I met someone after the fact who, when I told him my story, he sort of kind of verified that, I had had a paranormal experience. And to me, that was the first one. So I was just, from that point, I was sold. I have been to so many locations and had some amazing experiences. I've gone on an investigation with Regina and the team, and I've left there bruised.
Oh man.
I literally thought I was having a heart attack when we were at St. Albans up in Radford, Virginia.
Yeah, Regina told me about a couple of experiences up there.
Yeah.
So yeah. And,
I was like, "Yo, my left arm is hurting. What's wrong? Something's wrong." And
oh,
they're
shit.
like, and it didn't make sense to me. And then they started explaining it. That was literally my second official investigation, but the first official investigation where it wasn't just like meant for me to get some experience. We were actually investigating. And so it scared me, but it also like it just made me want more.
Right. And that's pretty wild to walk out with bruises and you have no clue how they got there. So
Right.
and now to you two guys, I know you said you weren't investigators, but have you actually like been into the paranormal, throughout life, or is this just something that was just kind of handed to you and for this project we're going to talk about?
Well, me personally, I have a belief in the afterlife, and just even from a religious upbringing, kind of an understanding of maybe where we came from, where we're going, and who still lingers
Right.
around where we are. So I do have a belief that there is that element around us, and that there are ways of communicating. I haven't actively gone and tried to do those things, although I've had feelings and had certain premonitions, things happen in my life that have affirmed that sort of existence. So when Chris introduced this thought and idea to me, what was it, 7 years ago?
7 years ago.
Yeah, 7 years ago, she had talked to me about this, and my home that I'm in right now, I totally believe that there's a ghost here. Okay. I think it's a mischievous one, not an evil, mean one or anything.
Right.
I'll just share the one inconvenience that it
This
does.
is new to me, so
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
interested.
yeah. Are you scared now? You got
Yeah, my
goosebumps
palms are
sitting here in the house. And I'm not going to tie it to the previous owner for sure, but I know that he died in this home. The thing is, I've got a giant movie collection. I've got over 20,000 DVDs and laser discs and so on. And through the years, if I talk to my children and you haven't seen that movie, I want to introduce them to something. Like, well, go down. It's underneath in the basement, underneath the stairs is where all the DVDs are. Well, go get the movie. And it's easy to find because they're all alphabetized. And I'm very meticulous with my collection. Whenever we would discuss a movie out loud and I would send one of them to go get one, it's gone. Can't find it. I mean, we're talking a popular movie, something that I know I hadn't taken and used, and it's just gone. And then don't find it later. I've had to rebuy movies that I know I already have and own because we talked about it. And I'll tell you, the successful times that we've watched a movie after talking about it is when I whispered, go down and get the Land Before Time or whatever it is, go get the Never Ending Story, whisper it, and then they can find it every time. I know that sounds weird, but it's kind of been
because ghosts are hard of hearing, so they can't.
right. Yeah. But anyway, so, I've had that kind of confirmation. So it was really intriguing to actually kind of, join in with somebody who has been actively seeking out that kind of, or, contact of some kind to having even a better understanding. So, I'm on board for that. And I really like the concept that Chris and Regina had for this. We talked about ghost hunters a second ago. There are a lot of copycats. And then again, like you're saying, a lot of people just had it awakened inside them that it's something that they wanted to do. Not so much I want to do exactly what they're doing, but I want to have those experiences. I want to document them. And I think Chris has a very unique way of approaching it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. For me, as a kid, I think everybody has at some point experienced some kind of paranormal. And it could be ghosts, it could be demons, it could be, your shadow, and you think it's
right.
And growing up, we didn't talk about that stuff. I grew up in a very religious home, so it was, don't talk about it, don't speak it, don't whatever. It's not there. So when I met Chris, her and I actually went on a small paranormal investigation in Ohio, I believe, right,
Yep.
Chris?
We went to Bobby Mackey's
Oh,
in
nice.
Kentucky.
Nice.
Yeah, well, it was
Yeah,
right there at Ohio, and we did follow it up the next day with a trip to Ohio. So
Yeah, that's what it was. And that was my first kind of introduction of investigating and experiencing it and dissecting it, because it's always been something to stay away from. And it was fun. Like there was some things that I was like, oh, shit, like I don't
Right.
want to do, chair moved, and it's like, I know you did that, Chris. And she's like across the room. Yeah, for me, it's all new, and it's really, really cool, but I'm more on the production side of it. So to sit there and watch other people do what they do and get the reactions, it's really cool. Because still in my head, I battle with, is this real? Is this fake? Am I just seeing things because my mind is playing games with me? So,
not to reveal too much, but to interject a little bit about what he's talking about. We were crew on the first production that we worked on here just a few months ago, and that we're kind of getting ready to
a few
wrap
months
up.
ago. I don't know where you're from. Like, where have you been? This has been what, 6 months ago, 7 months?
August, yeah.
August.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I think Lee told me about it in like September or something. So, yeah.
Well, few. I guess it depends on what we mean few is. What few means. But anyway, the thing is we were working behind the scenes. So we're thinking about audio. We're thinking about, exposure on cameras. We're thinking about staying out of the investigator's way, not wanting to interact too much and try to let things happen organically. I'll tell you right now, you go in there going, what am I going to feel? Am I feeling what they're feeling? What is going on? It wasn't until we got here into this editing room and we started watching that we started getting the feelings here.
Yeah.
Because there were things that we just missed because we had tunnel vision. We were thinking technical. We need the audio good. We need to make sure that everything looks good. And I think we missed a lot because we're not.
Yeah, in person. We got it on camera, but we missed it in person.
We missed it in person, just that feeling of it, because we're thinking in that technical mind. It was quite intriguing to see some of those confirmations come alive.
Yeah, we've been a lot of nights where we're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And I can't wait to show Chris. And then we have to fight with ourselves to say, all right, no, we'll save it for, the reveal or whatever like that. So we had a lot of those moments.
All right, Chris, so you said this has kind of been about 7 years in the making. So when did you initially, what made you decide to want to do what we're going to be talking about?
So it was literally on a road trip it was on the road trip to St. Albans. Okay. I had been at work the night before. A little side note, I actually met JJ and Alex through a bar that we all worked at in Nashville called TC. And I'd been at that bar the night before working, and a guy, just a really nice guy, started talking to me, and he asked me what I did. He was there with his girlfriend. He wasn't hitting on me. He just was the sober one.
Right.
Very nice guy. Asked me what all I did when I wasn't there. And I told him I was a ghost hunter, and he said, oh, you're kidding. You should totally do a ghost hunting TV. There's no girls, on TV shows. And I mentioned it on the road trip to Regina and Rhonda. And he had told us, he said, well, if you just get me some sort of pilot, I will show it to somebody that I know. And I mentioned it to them, and they were all in. And we had a girlfriend of mine named Victoria do just a very short little, I guess you could call it a sizzle reel, which was really good. She did a great job. But when he watched it, he said, you guys are good, but the only thing that's different between you and the people on TV is that you're females. He said, come back when you have a different concept or something new and unique. And that's kind of where it started for us. We went back and forth. I mean, there have been so many ideas that have been, concepts that have been put into this. And I think that this one is the right one. I think this is the best one and the one that was meant to happen.
Right. Now, how did you come up with the name Creep State Productions?
So I love backroading. It's kind of funny. My favorite thing to do, especially when I get off work, is roll down my windows, turn on the music, open the sunroof or wherever, and drive.
Right.
When I lived in Nashville, I used to actually do that on the Natchez. Every night I'd get off work,
yeah,
just drive up and down the Natchez. And of course, then there's nobody there. So you set your cruise control for like 25, 30 because you know you're going to get to see deer. But anyhow, it just always, no matter how comfortable I felt, it still always seemed creepy to other people. And I was like, what? It's not like it's a creepy street. So the name Creep Street just kind of stuck with me for a long time. So I put it with my love of backroading on the Natchez Trace.
Right. Hey, that works.
I guess that's not really backroading.
That's not me. I don't have that ring.
Not me.
Not me either.
It was me. I didn't have a ring.
You know what it
Good
is?
job, JJ. Good job.
No, it was inevitable because every time we go into the studio, we could be here for like 5 minutes, and he has somebody call him literally every time we're in the studio.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't matter what time we decide to show up, literally every time, 5 minutes. And I think we've been on here for at least 5 minutes. So
At
Is
least,
it the test to find out if they need to give you the rescue call? Hey, do I need to call you like I'm sick with my grandma?
It's Grandpa in the hospital, but he's okay.
Oh,
No.
It actually is a Grandpa in the hospital, but he's okay.
okay.
All right.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Good. That's good.
I apologize for that. I don't have that ringtone, but I guess it came up on the iPad. I apologize.
You're totally fine. And and like you said, driving Natchez, I mean, even during the day, it does kind of give you that creepy feeling because even during the day, there's not much traffic on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's really
I've drove it several times for like hours and maybe passed 2 cars the entire time. So
Yeah.
and then you have all those little stop offs that
Yeah, like you can turn off the like small rest areas. Yeah.
Yeah, so
But
it's
I
just
made a music video where we actually mounted the camera to the front of one of my Hummers and just drove back and forth with all the trees. No
Mhm.
other trees at all. Just got some great footage that we needed for this music video. It's a
right. That's
beautiful place.
and so now I don't know how much you can reveal. I know you don't want to give away too much, but like what's like the concept behind and it's called The Other's Side, correct?
Yes. The
That's
other
correct.
side.
So what's the concept behind it that's going to make it different than say Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures or shows like that?
Well, I think that the main thing is that the cast. It's I don't want to give away too much. It's a different group of people,
Mhm.
and they go about investigating a little differently, than your average paranormal investigators. So it's a little bit more of a collaborative effort.
Right.
And as far as different group of people, they all have different beliefs
Mhm.
Right.
in the paranormal. So a lot
Different
of times,
spiritual and religious backgrounds.
yeah,
Right.
yep.
Now, how did you come up with the name The Other's Side?
So he's nudging me. We actually, so he and I were in Nashville and Chris is in Texas, and we got this on a conference call together.
Mhm.
We were sitting in a car.
Yeah, we were.
I
And-
was too. We all were.
Yeah. Okay. So Chris told me the two of us basically the overall concept of this having different backgrounds, belief systems, and so on of different people. And I was also thinking about the spiritual side and that there are others on the other side as well. So it's kind of twofold. I was like, hey, got an idea. So, she wanted to show somebody else's perspective,
Mhm.
right? And in this case, being a group of different people that have different minds of the same existence of the paranormal, but they all have different experiences and backgrounds where they're coming from. And of course, the others. And I'm like, okay, so it's twofold. It's the others on the other side of the veil, if you want to
Mhm.
call that, on the spirit world. The others, their side, but it's also the investigators and the different people working out their differences and the things that are the same. They're telling their side of the story.
Right.
So it's kind of twofold.
I gotcha. And I like the name. So and it makes you think: is it more about the spirits, or is it about the investigators, or like you said, or is it about both? So I don't know anything about it other than the name and where it was filmed, and I know a couple of people that's involved in it, and I'm like super excited about it. So, so how did you get the cast put together? Like, how did that process go?
So it took a lot of work. Regina obviously was a given, and she had mentioned Lee. I'd never met Lee.
Mhm.
Our original plan was we'll get a couple of paranormal investigators, and then just from there we'll kind of spread out with our cast. And so she kind of brought Lee into the fold, and I had a conversation with him. And for me, it was instant with him as well. Just this great connection. I felt like he understood, respected, and not only did he feel that way, but he genuinely wanted to help, show this unification of people. So they were the first two. Haley Stark is a spiritual advisor, and she's an intuitive. She is someone that I worked with and I knew from the past of her. We actually hadn't talked in several years, and I just reached out to her on Facebook and asked her a few questions and asked her if she'd be interested in talking with me. And then she was really excited. And there was one other person's, an outside friend of mine had a family relative that was a tarot reader, astrologist. Said, "Oh, you got to talk to her. She's great." So that's how we found Scarlett.
Okay.
Then I did a lot of research to find Colleen and Steve. We wanted to do something completely out there with our cast members. And well, Colleen is a Wiccan. We've announced that much on Facebook. So I know we can say that much. So we kind of wanted to bring in the different religious backgrounds as well. So that's why we went with a Wiccan, Colleen. And I literally spent about 3 or 4 days researching to try and find someone that I thought would be a good fit for this. And she was my last piece, but probably for me, the hardest, but the most rewarding was Steve. He's our shaman.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think he was going to do it. But then he talked about his book, Simpatico, which actually is about, basically a collaborative effort with, amongst different religious leaders and just how everything is all connected. And so I thought he was going to be my hardest sell on the concept, but he wasn't. He was actually the easiest. He was just in general a little bit more confused because it was a reality show in his mind and he didn't know. He was like, is it like kind of like a drama thing?
Right.
But literally it was just research or word of mouth or people that I knew. We have talked to some other people since then that we've created this nice little network of different interesting characters. And we've talked to some people that if, we can get this thing going, that they are interested in joining us on some of their gigs.
Right. And so I don't know if anybody listening has seen the little teaser trailer you guys have put out. And if they have, and if I didn't know beforehand, because he was like, it was filmed here, but even if he wouldn't have told me, I knew as soon as I seen that building where it was at.
Right.
And so what made you decide on that location?
For me, we haven't really revealed the location yet, so I'm going to avoid saying the name. But for me, it was a little bit personal because I will tell you that it's in the state of Missouri, and my family was born. We come from Missouri, and my grandmother's laid to rest there, and it just kind of felt like I was close to her. She was more of a little bit supportive of my intuitive side than anybody else in my family. Right. And so I've always been a lot closer to her. And I loved the connection. Not only was this place just somewhere that I knew that I had never been and no one else had ever been, but also it was just very, it spoke to me. And I think it spoke to me because of the fact of where it was. It was so close to my grandmother.
Right. And it's a hell of a location. I mean,
it is.
I've never been there myself. It's on my bucket list, but
well, if I can share one thing about location, not to interrupt, I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're good.
But the one thing about the location that we are not going to mention at the very moment, that there can be speculation about certain places, about what remains there, about the things that had happened there, if something traumatic happened to people, or just running the gamut of different types of things that
over the years
can cause paranormal experiences, be it a house, be it an apartment, be it a church or a school or a hospital or whatever. And we have stories about all those types of locations. I think this particular location was ingenious for the simple fact that, beyond a doubt, people left this earth there. And that that there was a lot of pain and suffering. I mean, you already know all that's there,
right?
Without even just guessing that maybe we can go see if we can find out that something's going on. So I think that was one of the greatest things that propelled this being a perfect location to get started.
Yeah.
Right. Now, during the filming process, did you guys do this all in one night, or were you there for a few nights, or how did the filming process go?
We were there for 2 nights, 3 days, 2 nights.
Okay.
We started for the production side. We started like at 4 o'clock each day, and then we went on all the way till 4 or 5 in the morning.
Oh, it's a long day.
Oh yeah, long days. But it was fun. Even though you were at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, you're dragging your feet. In your head, you're like, man, we got so much good content. I can't wait to start editing. I can't wait to start to dissect this and turning it into a story.
Can't wait to get out of my sweat-soaked clothing.
It was so hot.
85 degrees,
yeah.
90 degrees, August.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No air conditioning.
Yeah, that was one thing. It was when going in these buildings and filming, they had these big fans. And obviously we had to shut those off so that it wouldn't, affect our filming and the sound and audio.
Right.
So it made it even hotter.
I'm sure. And
But
cool.
Go ahead.
And I was going to say, even at night, it's still going to be hot as balls in some of these places, but no
You're
electricity.
walking through a wet blanket. It's
Yeah.
you feel humidity. Yeah.
It was stalemate, especially the farther down you went into some of these places, because they're vast buildings,
right?
But it's like, oh come on, it's okay. There's a couple windows that are open. Nope, you didn't feel it.
That doesn't even matter. Now, like I said, I know you guys can't reveal too much, but to you two guys, did y'all have any like personal experiences, say like in between filming or anything like that? That you really just couldn't, like, what the fuck was that? Just anything you really couldn't explain.
Yeah, so we did go. What was it? Maybe almost a month prior to shooting, and we went and got a bunch of B-roll and kind of scouted the place out. I personally felt some stuff, and
we didn't even investigate.
Yeah, we didn't even investigate. We were
right.
It was like this heaviness.
That's the word heavy. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
On the trip home, after going there the first time, I mean, and maybe that's what happened. It's almost like something attaches to you.
Oh yeah.
And for me, it felt like, I don't know, just across my chest, just kind of your body felt heavy. It felt like you were carrying more than you showed up with.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And again, not exactly putting a finger on it, that sort of thing. There was just, there's more than meets the eye in this location for sure. And I mean, and not being someone who does that sort of thing on a regular basis. We definitely had that agreed feeling, that not even that we just immediately talked about, but more like kind of comparing our own notes in our head later after the fact. Like, you felt that too.
Yeah. And that was during B-roll, but also during shooting, we had some stuff that occurred that we were like, did you feel that? Or did you hear that? Or, so going back, even though your mind's playing games, your mind can only go so far before it's reality.
Right.
And that's what makes this show really.
And that's another thing that was interesting, is the fact that you're keeping these crews separate.
Yeah.
And we didn't know, because we didn't know what the other crew shot.
Yeah, so we ran 2 different crews, 2 different cameras, and
so we had another director, another camera crew, audio crew that would go with some of the investigators, and we had the others. And the thing is we'd crisscross and go to the same locations or similar. And it wasn't until we're sitting in the editing room and going, wait a minute, this group remarked about this particular location and a feeling on it, and the next group latched on to the same feelings.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, that for me, that's kind of like, you know, if you're having a test group, if you're having a placebo and a real medicine, and you want to see who affects who, but you know who got the medicine, and it's all similar. It's like, that's how they figure out if stuff works. And for me, that sitting in this editing room, watching people who were separated have the same kind of comments and the same feelings about whatever, be it an entity, a spirit, or whatever that they felt like they were communicating with.
Right.
That was, you know, that was very revealing to have people just blind having the same experience.
Yeah, that is pretty wild, especially when you don't know about it until you go back and you're watching this stuff. So that's pretty awesome in my opinion. Excuse me. And so, Chris, were you actually on camera at any point, or did you just kind of stay behind the scenes for this?
Both. I was on camera.
Okay.
I am the host. So I did get to do a little investigating too. So that was exciting.
That's awesome. And whenever you guys described it as being like a heavy feeling, I've been to locations similar to this, and just walking through, you know, during the day, you know, you can get that feeling at places like this, and there's just it's crazy. And now, have you guys pitched it to any networks or anything yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We have a few little connections with specific networks. JJ and Alex have more JJ, but a lot with Alex. There's been about 420 something hours spent on this.
Oh, yeah, the hours are almost equal. I've done a lot, some work, you know, but I've had him sitting right here with me. So we've, you know, combined, we put in almost 1,000 total. By now.
Yeah, I mean, I have an imprint
in post-production
in the floor of where I've been sitting since September. And if it's something you don't like, just blame it on him,
right?
Because every time, he's like, trust me. So I'm like, okay, hey, don't pull that out,
dude. They can't read it. But these notes, he has so many notes in here of every little thing. I mean, we logged all the footage, logged all the audio, so we know exactly where everybody is and what location, whose camera had what microphone was where, and he kept track of all of that.
And it was fun. Like, this is my first time like being in the editing room on a serious note, and it's fun. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for people that go through that stage in a film or in any kind of production,
right?
Because a lot of patience, and I have learned a lot of patience.
And
in this whole transition,
the thing that kind of sets this apart from when we're doing something scripted, that we start with a storyboard, we start with a script, that we know what we're shooting, and that's what we want, and it's in the can, and we just now have to assemble it. Here we had to literally lay it all out and see what we had.
Right.
And between all the cameras and all the audio, we had over 120 hours worth of footage because of different cameras. Every camera, you know,
right?
Yeah, 6 cameras, 3 for each crew, and then just one a miscellaneous one, and then all of the.
So it's literally diving in, watching every minute of it, and then knowing what you can pull in, what coincides, and how you can show the experience and have it be cohesive.
Man, that's a lot of hours, a lot of work, and I give you guys props for as much time as you put into this, because I know just for like when my team goes investigating, and there's only 6 or 7 hours of video to go through, and I'm the only one going through it, so it's such a long drawn out process, and then I don't really even edit anything on my videos. I like to keep everything just kind of raw. I'll throw in some intro music and stuff like that, but I keep everything raw. So I don't really do much editing per se, but just sitting and watching everything. So I could only imagine going from 6 or 7 hours to 120 hours. That's a lot of work. And I just from the little teaser, I think it's going to be amazing. So
we're very happy with it. I mean, like I said, these guys worked really hard, and we feel pretty confident we have enough connections with different networks that it's going to be out there real soon.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and you guys are actually doing a cast and crew premiere here in a couple of weeks, and
we are,
and I'm going to be lucky enough to actually attend.
Yep.
Oh, very
well,
cool.
that's
All
sweet.
right.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah.
Lee actually invited me as his guest, and then when I was talking to Chris, he's like, "You're not going to be invited as a guest. You're going. I'm considering you as media, so you can bring
Yeah.
somebody with you." So, I was going to bring my wife, but it's the time frame. It's not going to allow her to go, so I'm going to bring my best friend and my co-founder with me, and because he knows Lee and he knows Regina and
All
stuff.
right.
So
Awesome.
so it's gonna be fun, and I'm
All right.
looking forward to it. So who all's gonna be there? I know obviously you three is gonna be there, and Lee and Regina.
Almost everyone. We are going to be missing Nathan and Scarlett, both of whom are single parents. So they'll be staying behind. Then we're also going to be missing two of our, or actually four of our crew members, Casey and Bill, who were production assistants. Unfortunately, will not be joining us in Nashville. We're going to have a second one in Dallas, and they'll be at that one.
Okay.
And then Ben and James. Ben is the director, the other director, and James is the other cinematographer. So the two of them, unfortunately, are going to be in LA working on another project that day.
All right. Well,
They're working a lot.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot.
all right. Well, you're gonna have, like you said, you're gonna have quite a bit of the cast and crew there, and I'm excited to meet everybody, and excited to meet this project that Lee's pretty much been bragging about since he became a part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when he told me about it, he was like, I got something to tell you, and we're talking on the phone, and he was like, I was invited out to be a part of this pilot program and this and that. He's like, I can't tell you anything about it. He's like, but I will tell you where it was filmed. He's like, but that's all I can tell you. And he's like, don't tell anybody. He's like, it's just kind of on the down low right now. And
Yeah.
and I did good. I didn't tell nobody about it. And then when I actually had Lee on the show,
Yeah.
after you guys had filmed and everything, and he still kind of beat around the bush. He's like, man, I can't talk about it. So I haven't got nothing out of him either. So
Oh, good.
Okay, we were about to edit him out of the show.
Yeah. Go back.
So well,
You
like
know, I gotta say, I think that my favorite part of this, now that it's over and now that we're in that stage where we're in the middle and we're just kind of waiting. I'm looking back and I'm reflecting. I think my favorite part of this is not just the bonds that have strengthened with existing relationships, like such as JJ and Alex, who I've known for like 7 or 8 years.
For too long.
Yeah, no, you love me. And then Regina, Jesse, and then my friends, Bill and Casey, that were also part of the project with this, and Haley. I've known these people for a long time, and not only did it like really strengthen and signify those bonds, it also kind of opened me up to a lot of different unique ideas, and I have grown very, very close with both Colleen and Steve, and we talk about collaborations, and to me it's just this beautiful unity. I mean, we're literally, to steal Steve's line, we are blurring lines where people don't expect them to be blurred. You don't expect to take someone who's a witch and someone who's a shaman and put them in a room to investigate together and get the results that we did. And to me, it was just a very beautiful story unfolding. And so as much as I love the paranormal side, I also do love the spiritual and the unity side of it as well. So it's
Right.
just a big.
now
Just
we're
one last note on her talking about the unity.
Yeah.
When you have the different types of groups of people, you don't know how they're going to clash.
Right.
It was really neat to see these people who did not know each other seeking everywhere for all their common ground.
Mhm.
That's what was revealed as we watch all this footage of these different folks.
Yeah.
Is they each one learned from the other, and I think they all took away from this experience things that they're going to now apply in their lives.
Yeah.
And I mean,
100%.
it's really, and if that works for also the people who enjoy these shows, and especially this one, that would be great.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
If
just
anything,
expand
it's awareness.
minds.
It's an awareness to let other people know that no matter what religion, what belief that you have, we all have some kind of common ground,
Mhm.
and we can
And
all do it
I think
together.
society craves that. I really do. I think society is craving a lot of that right now.
Mhm.
And what's
Now-
on the other side of the door exists no matter what we believe it is, no matter what he thinks it is, and no matter how much we fight about it. Whenever the door opens, we're all going to see.
It's a
Right.
no pants Saturday.
I don't know what that means, but yeah.
Well, he asked me. He was like, "What are we gonna wear for this?" And I was like, "Oh, we're gonna go shirtless with nipple piercing." So
Hey.
I came prepared, but
He's day 90 of P90X, and I haven't started yet.
oh,
So that's why we're still dressed. That's great.
Oh,
Damon, like I wasn't kidding. In case you can't tell, it bonded more than just us. Like these guys have the greatest bromance that I've witnessed in a very long time. It's so fun watching them, and I love Alex likes to play jokes on everybody, and he'll call JJ and say, "JJ, Chris isn't happy with the progress you've made." And the whole time, I'm like literally sitting here going, "God, JJ's amazing. I love what he's done." Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Alex,
he
you gotta watch out
tells
for him.
her on a phone call. He conferences her in while we're editing and saying, "It's all gone. This whole hard drive, it just didn't work."
oh
I
man.
keep everybody on their toes.
The
That's what
whole
it is.
camera's
So-
gone. We don't have any footage.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
And I'm like, don't do that to her.
But I handled that very well. I was like, "Well, it's okay. We'll figure it out."
Yeah.
Right. Now, was there any skeptics that was a part of the cast?
We actually did. So Nathan was like a production assistant for me. He is a skeptic. He is an open-minded skeptic, though. So
Okay.
he got to experience a couple of things that he didn't really have answers for. So
Right.
And we're really good. I don't mean to cut you off there, but we're really going to try to implement the skeptic for the future.
Mhm.
right,
Just because we did have a lot of beliefs that believed in the paranormal, but we didn't really have that one connection where they just didn't believe at all. Because
Right.
it is out there, and we want to address that, and we want to be able to pull those people and say, "Hey, you may not believe, but at least experience this with us." you know?
right.
And so, yeah.
All right. So, say the show gets picked up, which I think it will, because right now the paranormal is like a hot commodity. It's
Mhm.
like every time you turn around, there's something new coming out, and occasionally you'll get a good show, and then occasionally you'll get one that's just shit. So,
Yeah,
say it gets picked up. Do you have? Obviously, you're going to have plans to film again. Do you have any locations in mind right now?
I do. I have about 20 locations, and I have just casually started discussing with some of the locations, the ones that I want to be prepared. It is my goal that the minute they say go, I am ready to go.
Mhm.
And so on that note, I have been preparing a list of, like which locations I want to do, what order I want to do in them or do them in. And because we do want to kind of switch up our cast depending on their backgrounds and depending on the location. I have also started going, oh, I think this person might be a good fit there. I haven't shared
Right.
that with anybody. And I know Alex is probably over there going, wait, what?
Alex wants vagueness completely. So much for the fact that he basically said, "Hey, when we figure out what our next location is, we know who our cast is. They're not going to know where it is. They're not going to be
No.
able to hop on and Google and search and then
Right.
find out about the places or what other people have said or done about any of these places.
Yeah.
Right.
It's literally going to be, hey, we're ready to shoot. Your plane ticket is here. Go get on
Yeah.
the plane. We'll see you here. You got a hotel, and then
And underwear and socks. That's it.
that's it.
And,
You know,
and
I've literally already told them you'll be ready. That you'll have a time frame of when you need to be ready to go, and we'll tell you what weather to prepare for. You won't know where you're flying to until you get to the airport. Even then, you will still not know your destination until we get there.
that's
Absolutely.
that makes it even better in my opinion. Because
Yeah.
like you said, if you know ahead of time, you can be on Google and trying to figure all this stuff out.
Yeah.
I'd rather go in blind and not know anything. And
Yeah,
that's
'cause
like,
Yes.
your confirmation bias. You
and-
already have in mind what you're expecting to see, and so then whatever happens, you're going to just apply it to that knowledge. Yeah.
right. And see, that's actually how we take the approach to our investigations is we kind of go in not knowing much of the history, not much of the the activity and stuff, and then I kind of do some research after to see, does this name that we just captured does this make sense with the location? And so yeah, that I like going in blind.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So like I'll know like a little bit of here and there, just like hearsay, but I don't go into like full blown research because I'd rather not know and kind of go back and try to line stuff up. So
Right. And nowadays, that's what we notice is that a lot of these places that have been investigated, they've been, shown on so many different TV
Mhm.
shows. So you kind of already going there knowing the history. And I think that that's why this time my focus was to go in and see which locations have been done by which shows. And I
Mhm.
was trying to choose locations that really haven't been done very much, if at all.
I was just gonna say, I was like, I don't think that I've seen your location on a show because me and my wife watch all these shows like crazy, and got to thinking about it. I was like, I don't know if I've seen that one on one. Like I've seen stuff about it, but I don't.
Right.
I can't think of a show that's actually done it
Yeah,
there.
the Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters both did episodes on it.
Ah.
So, but that's okay though. Like, you know what? It's funny. I just now thought about that. I haven't even watched it going back to see if anything that they came up with sort of
Right.
kind of reference or like collaborated with what we did. I didn't even think about that.
Well, then I've probably seen the episode, but because we went back and we started watching like all the seasons of Ghost Adventures and all
Right.
the seasons of Ghost Hunters, and we watched all the seasons of this and that. Just that's like our go-to entertainment, and I like watching them because it kind of gives me ideas of locations I may not thought of to check out myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, now after the fact, I'm probably gonna go back and watch those episodes too. So
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be curious to see. I hadn't thought about that, but I am going to go back and watch them now.
right. So is there going to be any more teasers released, or is it just going to be what you've released until it gets picked up? Then you're going to start releasing stuff.
Yeah, I think that we're just gonna kind of keep it close to the belt, and just do our cast and crew viewing, and then
Right.
go from. We don't want to give too much.
Right.
Yeah, for pitching purposes, taking the actual episode as we have it and kind of, condensing it down for consumption on someone watching it where they can get, okay, here's the gist of what the show is.
Right.
Definitely that'll happen, but that won't be just for everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that'll be pitching.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to here in a couple of weeks, and I get to meet you guys, and I get to see all this hard work you guys have been doing. And so if people want to follow along and eventually check out everything, where can guys find you on social media?
So we are on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. It's The Others, and that is two S's in there. The Other Side. You can find us on any of those. You can see the small trailer that we released right after filming. You can see the video bios of the cast and some behind the scenes photos. And we haven't been on there active lately. We need to get back on there and do some stuff. But
Yeah, we do, Chris. We do.
I know. I'm sorry.
You can post some pictures and stuff from the viewing party.
Yep.
Yes, we actually, that's what we've been excited about the most. I can't wait for it because I know that everybody's going to be like, this is going to be the first time that the majority of us have gotten back together. A few of us did reunite again in January, briefly to do some voice work for the show. And, but that was just a very short one. So I'm excited here in a couple of weeks to get back down there. And actually it's 2 weeks from today. So.
It is. So it's gonna be a good time.
Yep.
All right, guys.
I'm gonna have to shower before then.
Yeah, we'll be in 2 weeks from today at exactly this time. We'll be watching.
Yeah, we will be watching.
It'll already be 15 minutes in.
Yep.
That's awesome. It's going to be fun, and I can't wait. So,
well, we can't wait to see you there too.
All right. So, everybody, I want to thank Chris, Brent, and Alex from Creep Street Productions for joining us today and kind of talking about what they have going on. I know they couldn't give away too much, but that makes it more exciting and makes everybody want to tune in whenever this thing gets put out there. So thank each and every one of you guys, and we'll catch everybody next time.
Thank you for having us.